let's talk politics now. President Akufo-Addo is also drawing public criticism for going all out to endorse his communications director, Eugene Ahi, who's seeking to run even before the official party guidelines are issued on the modalities for the presidential and parliamentary primaries. National leadership of the president's party, that's the New Patriotic Party, last month took a swipe at persons publicly pronouncing their preference for candidates. In fact, the General Secretary of the party, Justin Frimpong Kodia, issued a statement and further proceeded to indict some 2 individuals who were later hauled before the disciplinary committee of the New Patriotic Party. Thereafter, some further indications were given by the party that there was going to be a meeting amongst all the presidential candidates, plus some of the stakeholders of the party in order to resolve all these jostlings for power and the fact that it could destabilize the New Patriotic Party. So, excerpts of the statement you have on your screens there, talking first of all about the concerns which the New Patriotic Party has about some issues and party faithful endorsing their preferred candidates, and portions, of course, indicates that going forward, the party intends to meet all of the presidential hopefuls and then crack the whip on persons who may not be respecting the party directives. But however, over the weekend, there's a lot that happened. President Akufo-Addo, in fact, stand all party faithful when he publicly declared support for his communications director.
I've instructed the Minister for Roads and Highways to commence work on the construction of the Akuti Junction to Senya Breku Road. As you know, one of your very own, the Director of Communications at the Presidency, Mr. Eugene Ahi, has done a very good job. Done a very good job in lobbying persistently for this road to be constructed, just as he did for the Bojuasi-Kaswa Road. And I assure you that it will be completed before 2024. It is public knowledge that he has intentions of contesting on the ticket of the NPP in 2024. If he is successful in the NPP parliamentary primaries, and I'm confident that he will do an excellent job as Member of Parliament for you. And I appeal to all of you to support him if and when that time comes. You have seen for yourself what he's doing for Awutu Senya West. Indeed, as it is evident, as all of you can see, that when the NPP is in power, Awutu Senya West develops.
Well, ever since the comments from the president, he's been drawing a lot of backlash for breaching the party's code of conduct. Of course, we are not clear on what the president will be subjected to. This is a very controversial matter, but let's bring you some excerpts of what it is that Professor Jampo has been writing about in terms of the concerns that they have, or he has, with the decision of the president to endorse the parliamentary candidate. On Facebook, he's put up a post actually indicating what it is that the concerns what concerns it is that he has about this. And of course, the second to last paragraph indicates that I expect Justin Kodia Frimpong, the General Secretary of the party, to master some fortitude as a man who believes in fairness to summon the president, as he's indicating, before the party's complaint committee. He did this to Akufo-Addo, as being indicated, and as if no one is above the law, and the application of the law must not be selective. That's the position of political scientist Professor Ransford Jampo on this matter. He's joining us live from the University of Ghana. Thank you so much, sir, for your time here on the Pulse. So let's start off with your concerns. Exactly what are you expecting that a General Secretary of the governing party would do to the sitting president of the Republic? Yes, he may be a member of the New Patriotic Party. Some would say there's nothing really at stake for him, particularly knowing that he may not be running for another election. And of course, Professor Jampo will be getting to us shortly. Dr. Richard Amakoban is a political scientist, also with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Doc, you are on with us, and of course, I understand you also have some concerns with the statement. And you're welcome back to the poll. So let's take you back to the University of Ghana. Professor Ransford Jampo is joining us live from there on the concerns he has about the internal race of the NPP. Professor Jampo, if you can hear me now, I was just asking what more could be done to the president, knowing that he's not running for elections any longer.
Could you please amplify your voice? I can't hear you.
So I'm just asking about your exact demands and what it is that you're expecting from the national executive of the New Patriotic Party.
In terms of what? I wasn't listening to you. I'm not following what
Yes,
you're doing.
I'm talking about your post.
Exactly?
I'm talking about your post on Facebook and what it is that
Put it in the
what
proper
more
context,
you're expecting from the general secretary of the party.
Which posts? I've posted so many things, and I keep posting.
You are asking the general secretary of the New Patriotic Party to hold before it some persons who have, of course, including the president himself, who's gone out to endorse the communications director of the New Patriotic Party.
Oh, well, I think what I said does not need protracted comments or discussion. All I'm saying is that I am quite disappointed that the president, who was part of his party's National Executive Committee to approve their party's code of conduct, that enjoined them, people like him and top party echelons, enjoined them to refrain from openly campaigning or declaring their support for candidates in the lead up to elections. I mean, I'm disappointed that the president was part of that meeting, has done something that is rather contrary to what is in their party's code of conduct. The point is this: their code of conduct says that you cannot declare openly support for any aspirant or anybody who wants to contest in the lead up to elections, because when there is conflict, people like him would have to be brought in the picture to help in resolving those conflicts. And then also, even beyond his own party, he's the father of the nation. And so within his party, he is supposed to be the father for all. But to meet at an event and to see other potential aspirants standing right behind you and to publicly declare support or to tacitly, openly campaign for one person in your office, in my view, creates an uneven playing field, because parliamentary primaries are yet to be contested, and there are many within the party in the constituency or in that area who may want to contest on the party's ticket. And when you say some of these things, people say it's an orphan constituency. An orphan constituency, so what? Does it mean that if you have enough orphan constituency there you don't have contests? You have to, people have to put themselves out there to contest for such elections. And so I found what the president did respectfully as lawlessness, and I'm thinking that he should be called to order. Recently, when Asifua and Hobson were found to have openly declared support for certain candidates, the General Secretary of the party held them before their party's complaint committee, and I'm sure they've been cautioned. And I'm saying that to the extent that nobody is bigger than the laws of the party, I expect the General Secretary to do the same, to have a committee call the president and probably to caution him, because it is not good for the internal democratic practice of the party, and you cannot have a whole president who was part of the process of preparing and approving a code of conduct openly violating that code of conduct. It makes the person look lawless. And I appeal to the president, I've said it elsewhere, that a president must not read everything that is written and presented to him, because the speech writers also have their own agenda. if you would always want to read what is written and given to you, you would end up, without discerning the agenda of those who wrote the speech, you end up advancing the interest of your speechwriters and not saying anything that effectively communicates the interest of the people who may be listening to you. And so that's why people like Jerry Rawlings, at some point in time in their public engagement, would decide to put their speech aside and say, I want to speak my gut. I want to speak from my gut. So he goes to an event and he sees the reality on the ground. He compares it to what may have been written for him. And he knows that, look, what may have been written for him may not reflect the realities. And so my point is that the president is not duty bound to read everything that is written for him.
So what's your suspicion that the president has been taken by surprise?
Agenda for preparing certain speeches. Pardon me.
You suspect that the president may have been taken by surprise?
No, I don't think he's been taken by surprise. I mean, he does that. This is not the first time. At one point in time, when university lecturers were opposed to the passage of the obnoxious Public Universities Bill, and because we felt that it was going to undermine academic freedom, the president went to UPSA at a function to cast aspersions at lecturers. And so later my people were very angry, and I calmed them down that, look, I don't think that the president that I know would really be insulting lecturers, and that the speech was written for him, and he just went to read what was presented to him. And later on, upon my investigation, I realized that actually someone wrote that speech for him, and he just went to read it. And I'm saying that if the president does not exercise that power of discernment to read in between the lines, to know which aspect of the speech that has been prepared for him promotes a certain interest, and he just goes to present the speech as has been written for him, he may end up championing interest of individuals and not interest of all. And I'm thinking that whoever wrote the speech that he went to present, where he declared support and openly campaigned for Eugene Ayen, may either be friends with Eugene Ayen, or Eugene Ayen himself had a hand in preparing that speech. I thought it was not fatherly, and then it was also a show of a certain lawlessness that should not be displayed by a president who believes in rule of law.
So who should we be going after? Eugene Ayen or the president?
No, but I've been saying this. Maybe you are not listening. I am saying that if the General Secretary deemed it fit to summon some people a couple of days ago who did something like that, then he should go ahead to summon the president, or ask the committee that met those who did something like that. I should ask the same committee to call the president to order. It's as simple as that. And it must also be made known that I think when presidents have served their term of office and they are on their way out, they should appreciate the fact that they would have to exit in peace. They have to exit in a manner that keeps the unity of their party. They shouldn't break the unity of their party. But anytime, and the point must be made that anytime a president is outgoing and he decides to do things that amount to some form of imposition of candidates, this act in itself reduces the chances of those the president may want to impose on the people. And the evidence is in the history of Ghana's Fourth Republic. And so I expect Eugene Ayen himself to openly and publicly come out to politely reject the campaign that was made for him by the president, and let him be his own man and go out there to campaign. He doesn't need campaign from the president because it makes the president look lawless. And then, like I said, evidence show that any time a president has run his office and is exiting, if that president decides to sort of impose a candidate, that move itself reduces the chances of that aspirant.
How do you respond to criticisms that your call is not realistic? And by the way, many have gone on to publicly campaign for their candidates. We've seen that in the Ashanti region, plus some persons going on to radio to campaign for their candidates. So the belief is, let's open the floodgates now that the president has officially
but I'm
made
saying
the comment,
that
so that it becomes a free for all then, because that's the beauty of democracy. What do you think about that?
I don't think you are paying attention to me. I'm saying that recently, Akufo-Addo and Vincent Asifua were found to have openly campaiged for certain candidates.
And that's why I'm asking if this should be the time for the leadership of the party to just open up.
No, I don't think it's a time for the leadership of the party to open up. They have regulations. They have rules and regulations that guides how some of these things will have to be done. And so the fact that people have violated this rule and they've been cautioned does not mean that they should pander to the lawlessness of those who are violating the rules. No, I think they should stand their ground and continue to ensure that the right thing is done in a manner that creates a level playing field for all in their presidential and parliamentary contest. And
going forward, finally, what will be your projection, looking at how the president has already gone out to make some statements for the NPP's primaries? They're starting off, obviously, with a parliamentary, and then they'll be heading to the presidential. The fear is this may get worse. You believe?
It shouldn't get worse if there are elders in the party. And I'm sure the party, NPP, is a party of laws. It's a party of traditions, a party of laws. And so I don't think that the situation should be worsened. There are elders in the party, and I expect them to master the courage to be able to look into whoever runs afoul of the rules and regulation, and to tell them that we can't accept that. They have a new general secretary who appears vibrant, who looks like somebody who will really do the work. And I expect him to put his feet down to ensure that the party's rules and regulations are obeyed and respected by all, irrespective of one's status within the party.
It's early days here to be rating Justin Kondia Frimpong, but for you, do you believe this will be a true test of his leadership?
Well, clearly, like I said, I like the swiftness with which he held Asifua and Hobson before their party's complaints committee. And if he was able to do that, then what the president did is really a test of his sense of fairness and objectivity. It's a test of his determination to make sure that he deals with everybody equally and fairly. It's a test of his ability to ensure that nobody is above the rules and regulations of their party.
Professor Jampo, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for joining us here on The Pulse.